expanded. Like it's
What,
like it was
already?
yeah, it was like in a tiny pot, and we put it in that, and it seems to have filled out the base of it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's somehow
Yeah.
spread
Well, they are
out.
quite vigorous, those ones.
Quite vigorous indeed.
Quite vigorous.
Anyway, welcome to another episode of Tell Me Where I'm Going Wrong. This is a podcast where two exes talk about life, love, politics, and the expansion of plants.
Oh, I
What's
wasn't sure. I thought you were going to say the expansion of the manosphere
or the universe?
the
What's
expansion of the
that's
Gaga ticket hysteria.
I'm Sean, and that's Josh. How are you, Josh?
Hi, Sean. I'm okay. I'm okay. I've started a new job. I don't want to say too much about it on the pod just yet, but I've just spent 2 days just sort of looking at PowerPoint presentations for 7 hours a day. So if I seem a little phased, if I seem a little like washed out, wiped out, and phased out, then that's why.
Are
Um,
you fatigued?
well, no, it's nice. It's an exciting place to work, and I'm really happy to be there. But it's just, when you're just like bombarded with information, which I know they
Hmm.
need to do for new
Yeah.
starters, but it's just a bit overwhelming. And just like, just stick me in the job, and I'll sink or swim, sink or swim. Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, well, I'm doing all right. Actually, I say I'm doing all right, but I feel a little bit washed out or wiped out or tired.
Mm.
Do you know, I'm taking some supplements,
Oh yeah, you texted me the other day about this.
and because I was, I'm now that we've,
Are you going to get them out? Are you gonna
I'm just going to
display
say,
them?
if you've got any, is it iron or zinc that can make you feel a bit weird? Like there's
I
one
don't
of
know.
them that you
I'm
take.
I'm wildly unqualified to talk about it.
Well, there's one of them that you take that can make you feel a bit, not like nauseous but I feel like I've got a bit of a hangover.
Iron, I've the only thing I've heard about in terms of either of those things, iron and zinc, the only thing is I've heard that iron can be a little harsh on your stomach,
Yeah,
and I've
yeah.
you can get specially formulated iron supplements that are supposed to be easier on the stomach. That's all I know.
Well, I'm not normally one to get too interested in supplements, but
Mm.
after our last week's conversation where we talked about, or the week before,
But
when was it when we talked about Manjaro,
that was
and
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago we talked
Hmm.
about Manjaro. What was last week's then?
Last week, well, we were talking about Lizzo and Gillian Michaels and Janet Madonna, and then we talked about Andrew Tate, the Manosphere, you
And
know,
and who
and
and
everything in
who was
between.
responsible for the advancement of dance troops in popular music performances?
Yeah, it was the question everybody had been waiting on the answer
Well,
for.
anyway, because I'm taking Manjaro, and what Manjaro does, for a quick recap for people, is suppress. One of the things it does is suppress your appetite, or results in you. It's designed for you to eat less calories than you might take when you're not on it, especially if you have compulsive eating like I have. But one of the side effects of that is that you can come up a little short with the nutrients or the vitamins that you need in to keep you healthy. And
Hmm.
so I have a bit of a fear that I might be a little nutrient deficient, even though my blood pressure is good and other things are on track. I just fear that I'm not eating enough to get enough variation of foods to get the right nutrients and vitamins and supplement, the things that my body needs.
Mm.
And then you add in veganism to that, and there can be some other concerns, right, around like B12 or. Um,
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think we should preface this by saying, like, do not take any dietary supplement advice from us, nutrition advice from us. Like, go to a professional. Don't seek it out on YouTube or Spotify. Get it from a professional. But
yeah.
yeah, that with that caveat said, I think with vegan diets, you do have to supplement the B12, and you also have to make sure you're getting enough omega. I don't know, 3, 6, 9. This is it. This is why you shouldn't necessarily take advice from us.
Well,
But yeah, they're
I
the
With the omega thing, I do think that is a genuine concern. And yeah, this is anecdotal from us because we're not specialists. But
Yeah.
so I am taking, I used, I don't know how ethical this is, but I used Chat GPT to do some research about.
Again, probably not a good source of nutrition
Well, where are you
information.
going to go though? I mean,
Well,
imagine me trying to get an appointment with the NHS.
yeah, but on the NHS website, I think they have a page about vegan diets, and I think the only thing that you can't get from plant sources is B12. Well, that is the only thing. So
But
you
do you
have to take a
know?
synthetic
But do
B12.
you know that with this sort of information, it's so specialized at the moment what I need
Mm.
because it's not that I'm just eating vegan food, but I'm also on a calorie deficient eating plan or whatever you call it at the moment, and
Mm.
I am of a certain age. So there are comorbidities or different forces coming together, and I need specialist help. So that information isn't readily available on the NHS website. It doesn't tell
Okay.
you what to do if you're a vegan on a calorie deficient eating plan. It just
All right.
doesn't tell you what to do. So
I'm
I
still not sure AI is the
no, but what else? Like, well, I would just Google it, and Google AI is just a heightened version of Google, right? So it collates information. It's not making it up out of thin air. It takes it from trillions of
yeah.
bits of information and then it reformulates it.
But
But
do you know that
anyway,
within ChatGPT, just as an aside, do you know that there are different forms of ChatGPT responses you can generate, and one of them is it takes a little longer, it's a bit slower, but where you click, I think, the globe icon, and it actually searches current information that's on the web rather than because ChatGPT, whatever mode you're using, like
yeah.
ChatGPT 4, I think it is the current free one.
Mhm.
That was built at a certain point in time where it took
Yeah.
all the information that was available on the internet at that time. And if you ask it questions, it will resynthesize that.
Yes.
But
So yeah,
if
like,
you
and
do
it's
the other
dated,
one,
right? It's dated.
yeah.
So
But
like, if you ask it about someone who's dead, it might not know that that person's dead.
right. But if you click the icon in the search box, click the little globe. I think it's a globe icon. That will actually, it will take longer to generate a response, but it will give you current information pulled from the web. So that
Well,
might be,
I am of the mind generally to be skeptical of supplements. I mean, we talked about the wellness and supplement industry in that episode and how it can often be a bit of a scam. But I do
mm,
understand enough about basic nutrition that your body needs certain things. So you're saying omegas, or your body needs vitamin C, or and I'm
mhm.
also going to swap between saying vitamin and vitamin because in Australia we say vitamin,
Yeah, I
and
know.
here in the UK people say vitamin, right?
And it's something, as soon as you become conscious of it, it just like it fucks with your head, like
Yeah,
once you're conscious of it. Like I think when I lived in Australia, I just over time I naturally started saying vitamin, and then when I
yeah.
moved back to England, um, I gravitated back towards vitamin. But it's just, and then but there are periods where you're like saying both, and your brain just can't.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit worried that I am a bit nutrient deficient because I'm not eating enough of a
Right.
varied diet. So I'm taking these things in the meantime to, I suppose, just even out my odds or my chances of, you know,
I mean, the thing with supplements is that I just think there's not a lot of peer-reviewed empirical evidence that they do anything. And I think anytime, I know we always go on about it in this podcast whenever we talk about anything to do with food or nutrition, but I think there's actually a maintenance phase episode
mhm.
where they look at the history of supplements and they say there is actually no peer reviewed, sort of science based evidence or research that shows that supplements are necessary or that they even actually work.
But if you were not getting enough vitamin C in your diet, because your body needs it, right? Like your body, it's not that it's just some compound in the universe that your body doesn't need. Like your body can use it to help
Yes.
you stay well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're not eating enough foods, if you took a vitamin D, a C tablet, would it not have some impact, or like
Well, I
does
don't
your
know.
body
That's
not
a
get
good
anything
question.
out of it?
I mean, there's certainly enough evidence out there that vitamin deficiencies. Now you've got me thinking about the pronunciation of vitamin deficiencies are real. Obviously, I mean, there's plenty of evidence of, rickets. I think is a symptom of vitamin D deficiency,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of historical evidence of that. Same with vitamin C deficiency was very common in sailors
Mm-hmm.
um, when you were away from fresh fruits, which contain vitamin C. When you're away from them for a very long time, you would get scurvy. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
the science shows that deficiencies are real, obviously, but I don't know about the is it the bioavailability of vitamins when they're in sort of synthetic forms?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But because, like to say that there's no evidence that supplements work. I mean, when you go to hospital, they give you supplements if you need supplements. Like if you have a deficiency, it might be in an injection form, but they'll give you like B12 or vitamin D like injections if you're seen to be
Well,
lacking in that.
yeah, yeah.
So
I've
there
not
must
heard
be
of
a
vitamin.
way.
I've not heard of vitamin D injections. Vitamin B, yes, but
Oh yeah,
d
vitamin D injection. Yeah,
really, okay. But then it's because a lot of those, the whole. I mean, all of this said, I take vitamins and supplements every day. So I mean, I'm just trying to sort of present both sides. Like I do take a multivitamin every day. I take flax or not flaxseed. I take an
yeah,
omega, like I think it's made with
yeah,
algal oil. I take a B12. I take biotin. Like I do take them.
yeah.
Um, but I'm just saying, like just to put it
Well,
out there.
anyway,
Anyway,
just to,
sorry.
to clear this up for anyone who is interested, vitamin D injections are a method of delivering a concentrated dose of vitamin D directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the digestive system for faster absorption.
Okay.
It's typically recommended for individuals with severe vitamin D deficiency or those with difficulty absorbing vitamin D from food or oral supplements, or those needing a quick increase. Um, yeah, so I think pretty much any vitamin can be in an injectable form, but it's generally reserved for people who are in an emergency or crisis situation.
Hmm.
So I think when I was hospitalized with COVID, I mean, I was a little bit out of it, but I think they were giving me vitamin D injections then,
Okay.
amongst other things like steroids and all sorts of things to, keep me alive. Like it was pretty intense. But, um, like if supplements don't work, why is it the law or legislation in the UK to have vitamin D enriched foods in,
Yeah.
because
I
the
mean.
population is so vitamin D deficient as a whole, especially
Mhm.
through the winter months. Like everything that you buy, like margarines and different
Cereals
cereals,
and
they're all fortified with different vitamins.
yeah, yeah. No, yes, I think there's a lot of I don't know, a lot of evidence um, to show that there's an arguable case for supplementing foodstuffs with them because we know what the deficiencies are. I think the problem is with so many of these things in society, whether they're supplements, vitamins, superfoods, you know, so many things which are marketed as being the solution to something. The problem is it's very, very hard to have a completely controlled environment where you test over a long period of months rather than days what somebody consumes. And, you would literally have to um, and again, they explain this probably, they articulate it a bit better on the maintenance phase podcast, but you would have to literally have, a sample group of at least 50 people live in a completely confined, sealed environment for several months, controlling exactly what they ate at all times of the day, um, and monitoring that. And of course, that just doesn't happen. Like they don't. We don't have resources or consent from people to do that. And so it's always a bit of a sort of, well, we think this is, we
Well, I
think this
suppose, yeah,
is
because
the
you can't
solution, but
control all of those, like, what do you call it?
the variables.
Variables.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
there are just generalizations with
Yeah,
medicine or well-being. I mean,
yeah.
you have to just like there probably isn't an ideal amount of sunshine for every human that is the same for every human. Like
No,
everybody
it would
needs different
vary
amounts,
drastically
but
between humans. Yeah,
you can't give everybody advice particularly tailored to them because
right.
you wouldn't be able to do that research. So you say, oh, the average human needs this amount of sunlight or exposure to ultraviolet light every day. And
Hmm.
then it's like a little bit more or a little bit less for everyone, but there's like an average or a mean or whatever you call it. And the same would be for vitamins or nutrients. Like the average adult human needs this amount of vitamin D.
Hmm.
But do you know that um, a lot of vitamin D tablets that you buy in the UK are not vegan?
Hmm. Yeah, they're made with lanolin, I think.
Yeah, and even so, that's a weird thing, right? Like, how do you feel about something including lanolin in it? And let's maybe go back a little bit and explain to people who don't know where lanolin comes from.
Also, let's just take another step back even further and just say, in case you haven't watched this podcast before, Sean and I are both vegan. We've been vegan for decades. So yeah, just to put that as a baseline
Okay, so
factoid.
lanolin is a secretion, or it's derived from a secretion or an oil that comes from the skin of animals, usually sheep, when their wool or their covering is shorn off them, like is cut off their bodies. Their body creates this oil or releases this oil that is meant to protect their skin and from cuts and abrasions or however it works. So that has a very high concentration of different vitamins and minerals in it that is used often for either makeup production or food production for humans because it's a byproduct of an industry that would either otherwise go to waste. And
Mm,
it has been found, especially in vitamin E, and it's vitamin D as well, right? So it's used in personal care product production and food production. So a lot of cereals that you buy from brands like Kellogg's have these extracts from that are sourced from lanolin in them.
hmm
How do you feel about like so clearly that's not vegan, but these
mm.
products are marked as vegetarian. Do you think that lanolin is vegetarian?
I don't know. See, it's the vegetarian thing. I mean, this is why I went vegan, because I was vegetarian. We were both vegetarian for a long time, and the more I learned about how food was produced, or the more I thought about how food was produced, the more I questioned whether a vegetarian stance was, or a vegetarian framework was sufficient, and hence going vegan. Because I remember being vegetarian and thinking that was, that was the right on, that was the good thing to do. But then starting to think about, and this was came at the same time as sort of the advent of the internet. So having access to this information, starting to think about, well, I'm a vegetarian and I eat eggs, but an egg, it's not like you pluck an egg from a animal's body and it grows
From a
back or
chicken's
anything.
ass.
It's actually coming. It's made within the body of an animal, and it's part of that animal's body in many ways. And so it started me thinking about that. And then same thing with milk. I started thinking, well, milk isn't just, it's not like a cow just eats grass and it turns into milk and comes out the udder. It's like there's a whole biological being, sentient biological being, where that has to, synthesize that grass, break it down, convert it into, I don't know. I'm not a biologist, and then produce milk. So yeah, it's. I don't, I don't think lanolin. If you're vegetarian from an ethical perspective, I don't see how lanolin is a product you would want to use in your life. But
I want to start a vegan Blur tribute band. Can you guess what I would call it?
no, I can't.
There's no other way. How good is that?
It's pretty bad.
I love it.
Um,
There's no
do you
other
remember?
way.
Do you remember when I was when we lived in Mexico and I was starting my vegan ice cream business with a
Mm.
van,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to call it No Way, but
Mm-hmm.
like WEY, because in Spanish, I don't know if it probably just Mexican Spanish, I think. Way, WEI, is, oh no, sorry, it's not. It's actually
G U E
GUEY,
Y.
but
Yeah.
it's often shortened as WEY. Is like means like dude. I mean, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean dumb. It can mean dude. It can mean whatever. But I wanted to call it No Way because that's a really common response, like, as in no dude. Like, you'd be like, no way. And I wanted to call the vegan ice cream No Way. But anyway, it got voted out.
What with that word way, like
Mm.
GUEY, what would be the nearest English equivalent or translation of that?
Like,
Like if you
dude,
had to pick one word, like
dude.
dude.
Yeah.
Like so, because you
Well,
might
I
say,
mean, depends on like your age or your like what sort of culture you're in. Like, it could be bruv, it could be
fam,
fam, yeah,
mate.
yeah, yeah, like, exactly, yeah, depends, but yeah, something akin to that, like a very casual slang term for a close friend. But it can, like I said, it can also mean like stupid, dumb. Like, if you say that's way, like, you're dumb.
No mama's way.
No mama's way. No manches. Yeah. Anyway.
Did you watch? Anyway, have we finished talking about?
Well, I don't know.
I don't
Uh,
know where
you
we
were
went with
talking
that.
about what supplements have you got then?
Oh, all sorts. Like because I'm taking um, omega 3. So this is pure plant-based DHA and EPA free from ocean pollutants.
What the fuck does that even mean, anyway?
Well, so it
Okay.
doesn't
So
have
where are they
any.
from? Do you get them
I
online?
bought I bought them in Holland and Barrett.
Okay.
I don't want to like be given free advertising to multinational companies, but that's where I got them. So this is like a fish-free alternative because often when you buy omega 3, it's like fish
Yeah.
oil, isn't
Or
it?
some cod liver oil or whatever. Yeah.
So I also have to take. I've got these gummies, these vegan gummies, these vitamin D3 vegan gummies.
See, I don't think you need to take vitamin D. On the NHS website, it says they recommend people take vitamin D. I think in this country, in this at this latitude, I think they
Yeah,
say for, like, white skinned people at this latitude, the recommendation is to take vitamin D between October and March. So I don't know if you
right.
necessarily need to take vitamin
Well,
D
I
at this
kind of
time of
feel
year.
maybe the weather is a bit crummy. Maybe I'll keep it going for a little bit, and then I'm going on. I suppose some vacations to sunnier climes. Maybe that'll top me up for the rest of the year. And
Right.
then I also take these zinc
Okay.
tablets, and then in the
But
other room,
can
I
I?
don't have them here right now, but I've got iron and vitamin C because you're meant to take the iron and the vitamin C together. Apparently, even the NHS tells you that
Yeah.
it helps
Yeah.
with the absorption if you take them together.
But your gummies, do they not contain vitamin C, zinc, and iron?
Um, no, it's just vitamin D3.
No, your gummy.
Yeah, I'm
Oh
looking
wait,
at the
no. What
gummy.
were they? Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought you said you had like a
No, no, no. It's just a
multivitamin,
vitamin D3 gummy.
multivitamin. See, I'm mispronouncing now.
So
Okay.
anyway, they're really
What
nice,
what
but
about
because
what about your
what's that?
B12 then?
Well, I don't have it yet. So, um, do you know that company called Viridian?
Yes.
Like they're a fancy, really nice vegan supplement company. Like everything they do is vegan. They have launched a new liquid B12 that is apparently really easy to absorb and very high quality or high potency or whatever the term is. And I think they're going to send me some in exchange for me doing an Instagram reel. So I don't want to
So they'll
spend
be
any money.
really pleased about all my comments about how supplements are a scam.
Well, this is why I'm playing devil's advocate.
I'm not saying they're a scam. I'm just saying, like,
Well, they're a very sweet company, and they're very, very. They have done a lot for Made in Hackney, the charity that I work for.
Okay.
They have like supported us. We've got like a Made in Hackney cookbook coming out, a vegan recipe book, and they're like one of the sponsors that has helped pay to get that made. They're very, very kind, and they love to support like vegan initiatives and social justice things. They're very sweet people. But anyway,
speaking of Made in Hackney, did Nivy already do the Hackney Half Marathon? Did that happen?
No, that's still a way away.
In May?
May 18th or something. But
okay.
we were trying to raise £500, and we passed the target.
That's great.
Or up to like 600 and something. So I've upped the target now to 750 to see if we can.
And the link for that will be in the show notes. So,
donate
please do donate if you can. Yeah.
Did you if we finished the vitamin and the supplement discussion, did you watch any of the Coachella live stream?
No, I honestly know it sounds ridiculous, but I haven't had time with the new job and all the other.
So busy, Sue. So
everyone's talking about it, saying how amazing it was.
Okay, well, in particular, because this is a Gaga Stan podcast, the Gaga performance was out of this world. Like, even like if anybody who watches this or knows me personally will know that Hill can be a little bit how do I say this politely?
A little critical of Gaga.
Well, of anything really. It's just his way. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but often even if he likes something, he'll say a couple of bad things about it first before he then allows himself to.
But no one's allowed to say a bad word about Bjork, but that's not for here.
No. But anyway, even within the first 2 songs, we got up early on Saturday morning to watch it live. He was just like, this is incredible. Like, this is...
How long was her set?
I went for about an hour and a half. But it was so sensational. Like, I can't even believe it. And when she sang... I'm such a little monster. When she sang Vanish Into You, which is a song from the new album, Mayhem, I cried. Like, it was so emotional, I cried. And because she does this part where she goes down to the front row of the crowd, like, and so obviously there's a lot of people at Coachella who don't give a shit, right? Like, they're there just to be seen. It's cost them like $1,000 to go. They just want to get photos for the Instagram. But along the barrier, of course, all the little monsters were there who had got down there early to see Gaga, and she went and was like on the same level as them in the crowd, like they had their arms around her, and she was singing "Vanish Into You" to them, and I was like, crying. It was so emotional. And you'll absolutely love when she sings your favorite song, How Bad Do You Want Me?
It was just... I don't know when I'm going to watch it.
Well, you've got to get on it. And then also the Green Day performance was so sensational. Like, we've seen Green Day a lot of times, right? I mean, have you ever seen them without me I know you went and saw Billy Joe Armstrong in that cover-ups.
I've seen him twice solo.
Yeah.
Well, not solo, yeah.
Yeah, with the cover-ups.
In his other band. I don't think I've seen Green Day without you.
So we've seen them like all over, right? Mostly through that
mostly in Australia
tour. Well, we saw them in Atlantic City.
Yeah. Yeah. But every other time I think it's been Australia, no?
Was it? Did we see them on the west coast of the US once?
Not that I remember.
So anyway, when they were singing, I think it was Jesus of Suburbia at Coachella, they changed the lyrics to say something about the children in Palestine.
Oh, right.
And I cried again then. Like, I found it so emotional. But they were so incredibly good. You know how good they were when we saw them on the American Idiot tour? Like, how long ago would that have been?
It would have been
20-something years.
20 years ago.
Right?
Yeah.
Like 23 years or something. They were as much energy, as good, as incredible as that. It was so phenomenal. And the
Wow.
crowd at Coachella are just not into anything. Like Gaga's there doing the best show I've ever seen, and everyone's just sort of stood there, like looking around. And she's
Yeah.
like, throw your hands in the air, like jump, and everyone's just stood there. And the same with Green Day. I mean, people got into a little bit, but mostly people were just very non-responsive.
I mean, everyone. I'm not being well. I'm being a bit dramatic, but like I feel like everyone in California is just stoned. Like with the legalization of marijuana, like every time I go to California now, I think everybody is stoned. Like just walking down the street, I think everybody is just completely. And also Coachella. I mean, obviously it's synonymous with like excess drug use and
But
whatnot.
also,
So
don't you feel that in the US there's also a dependency, like a widespread societal dependency on prescription medication as well, which is
well, yeah.
altering
I mean,
people's
it
realities and minds?
yeah, I mean that's a little harder to quantify, isn't it? But yeah, like there is the big pharma influence on American culture means that yeah, a lot of people there are on medication. But I think that's a trend that seems to be growing everywhere now.
Yeah.
But
So
certainly the marijuana stuff, like everywhere you go in LA, it just stinks of weed. Like it's wild.
also, Charlie XCX performed.
Yes, did she do a song with Lord?
Yeah, she came out and did that "Girl It's So Confusing" remix.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was pretty lousy. Like, I didn't think it was.
What, the whole show or a whole
Well,
set?
no, it was all right, but it's a little lazy to me. Like that whole singing with the auto tune or whatever the technology she's singing through. It is like she doesn't even have to try or hit any notes or anything, and it's all just sounds computerized. It sounds like share believe. It sounds all vocoder, voice, the entire gig, and then also I know everyone uses backing tracks to supplement their live vocal. So there's like an under vocal. What do you call that? Like
Yeah, like
term for it?
I don't know. There may be
Was it
uh,
like they sing over, like it's a track that they sing
like
over the top of?
what do they call it? Not a lead
A
track, like
guide vocal.
a what guide? Yeah,
Guide.
guide vocal. Yeah.
But it seemed like she barely was saying any of the words herself. Like she'd just come in now and then. But with
Mm.
Lord was not good. Like she wasn't a great singer. But then she also brought out Troy Sivan and um, Billie Eilish to sing that song.
Or
But
underwear or whatever.
yeah, I'm just not digging it. Like I'm not that into it, and it just doesn't feel very artistic to me. And I know that's my opinion, and it's a bit snobbish, but it just feels a little, I don't know, reductive or something. Like it's a little uninspiring
Yeah,
to me.
but like the songs are really good,
Yeah,
so
they're all
maybe
right.
that's what
They're all
matters
right.
more. And maybe I don't know. I don't know. I
But
haven't watched any of the performances, so I can't
you
comment.
see, she was billed under Green Day, so Green Day were the headliners that day. And she went out to the after party after she performed, and she wore a sash that said, like, like someone would wear like a sash that says Miss America or Happy 40th birthday, or did Muriel say the other day? 40 and fabulous
Yeah.
at her birthday party. Well, Charlie had one that said Miss should have been headlining.
Oh, really? Okay.
And everyone took it as like a dig against Green Day, saying, "Oh, that she thinks she should be headlining instead of Green Day." And so Hill and I had this discussion, and I would like to have your take on it. That I was saying there is not any circumstance that I could see Charlie XCX being billed above Green Day, like not in any planet, in any festival, in any lineup. There's no way.
Well, I mean, it's it's such a subjective thing. I mean, if you were putting together a festival for young people, and by young I mean younger than 30, then I don't even know if Green Day would get an invite. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
No.
I'm not saying that as a slight. I love Green Day. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely adore them.
But I'm saying if they're going to be on the same bill, I can't ever see Charlie being above Green Day. I can't imagine why that would
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. I mean, neither can I. But then that might be a generational thing. I mean, Hill's a little younger than us, and maybe you know, maybe their relevance. Although I know Hill really likes Green Day as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and
yeah.
they're huge in Mexico. I mean, him growing up, he was around that sort of pivotal age when American Idiot came out, like it was the biggest album on the planet.
Mm.
But also, I think it's a real, to me, it's a real indicator of these echo chambers that we live in now, where if we are on social media and we get into an algorithm, say you're in Charlie XCX TikTok or Charlie XCX Instagram or some sort of silo of other fans or stands of Charlie, you hear more and more and more about her. You hear about
Hmm.
her achievements. You hear about, oh, this she's breaking records, or she's on Saturday Night Live, or she's the first artist to do this or that or the other. It starts to skew your understanding of her importance, right? And that's all, obviously, I'm not trying to be shady against her, but it starts to develop ideas in people's brains that isn't based on reality. It's just based about the echo chamber you're in. So Hill is in Charlie XCX and that sort of like hyper pop, like, Sophie and all this sort of stuff. He's in that echo chamber online. That's one of his streams or algorithm that he's in. But he's no longer in a Green Day one. So he hears every day, he hears those songs from Charlie's record. Every day he hears people talking about how it was the concert of their lives or
Mm.
she's incredible. And it goes to show you how social media can sway your perception of reality.
But yeah, I mean that's what we were talking about in last week's episode as well. But that was more,
Because if you look at,
serious.
I won't do it now, but if you look at how many streams the Brat album has had, that came out a year ago. The Gaga album has had almost as many streams, and it came out a month ago. So it's nearly had as many streams on Spotify as Brat has had in a year. And it goes to show that, there are people like, Brat won Album of the Year at the Grammys. And so people think that it's this all conquering, all all sort of covering, like it's all pervasive juggernaut of popular culture. And it's only actually a small number of people who have even experienced that piece of art. It's not,
Right.
it hasn't crossed over to
It
be
hasn't
like a
become
great,
such a mainstream thing like American Idiot
yeah, like
became.
American Idiot. Like, and this is her biggest album probably. And it still is only known by a small group of
Well,
people.
and Green Day still sell out stadiums, whereas
Oh,
I don't know Charlie XCX
no.
would.
Yeah, she couldn't sell out as,
Speaking of stadiums,
yes.
regular viewers, listeners will know. I think I even said on the podcast I was a bit disappointed when Gaga announced her tour dates that she was playing arenas. I really wanted to
Yeah.
go and see her in a stadium. Anyway, we got our ticket to Paris, but then she announced her Australian tour dates, and they're all in stadiums.
Yeah.
So I mean, with this new job, I don't know what my work situation will be, but I mean, I was when she announced it, I thought, oh, can I maybe forget Paris? Maybe I'll go and see her in Australia, and then I had to reel myself back in and do a reality check and just be like,
I'm
I,
still hanging on with hope because our friend Derek, and for anyone who doesn't know, Derek has been one of my best friends since I was a teenager, and I used to like flat share with him. We used to like he's one of my best friends of all time. He's very excited about Gaga touring, and tomorrow the Brisbane tickets go on sale, and he's going to try and buy two tickets on the standing in the stadium. And if he buys two tickets, he's going to give me first chance of rejection.
mm,
So I think that if he gets that ticket, I'm not going to be able to say no because not only do I want to go and see Gaga, I haven't been to Australia for almost 3 years, I think, and it'd be lovely to see like my family, well, the family that I like. It would be nice to see them, not the ones I don't like, and it would be nice to see my friends like Derek and Amy. Like it would be lovely to go down and be there and see Michelle and Kate and Pete um, and then if I could throw Gaga into the mix. But do you know when reality is so what's that term? Is it like where you're trying to make something happen, but it can't happen? Like, you know, when you like colloquially, you would say you're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole,
Oh, right,
but there's
yeah.
actually like a proper term for it. But
I don't know.
I'm just like, I know that it's probably not possible, but the allure of going down there and seeing Gaga in a stadium in Brisbane in the summertime, it's so appealing to me that
Hmm.
I'm going to try and make it work. So
Well,
I don't know.
you might have to run the Hackney Half Marathon as a sponsor. Your Gaga Down Under charity.
What would the public say if I put on my Instagram, I want to go see Gaga in Brisbane, and can you for every pound you give me, I'll do something like a push up. I'll do a push up
Okay.
for every pound that
All
somebody.
right. Well, try it. Try it and see.
I probably couldn't even do 10 push ups to be
Um,
fair.
Speaking of music, was it last week? I think I texted you. I was at work and my colleague just puts on like random YouTube playlists. Anyway, I love Heart. I love their legacy. I love their
Like,
songs.
clear up for a minute. You don't mean the radio station Heart
Oh
FM.
right, yeah. Sorry, the band, the
Yeah.
two, yeah, the band Heart, the American
N-
sisters.
Nancy and
Um,
Ann Wilson.
yeah, from the 80s and maybe into the early 90s. I don't know. Um, that sort of power ballad, like rock. Um, yeah. Anyway, you just do your own research if you want to know who they are. I love a lot of their songs. But this song of theirs came on this YouTube playlist at work last week, and I texted Sean and I was like, "This is so whack!" And it's the song "All I Want to Do," which I think was one of their biggest hits in the UK. Weirdly.
But it's actually the full title is "All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You,"
Oh, okay.
because
And
the song called "All I Want to Do" is by Sheryl Crow. So you've got
right,
to say
yeah,
the
you've
full
got to
title.
differentiate. So, I mean, I don't know. Do we have time to sort of
Yeah.
look at the lyrics? Do you want to pull the lyrics up and we can just go through it? But basically, the plot of the story is this. The plot of the story is on a wild night out. I mean, I think this is it. Tell me if I've misinterpreted it. Um, on a wild night out several years ago, the protagonist in the story slept with a guy, and no, sorry, I need to preface that. I think I think the protagonist in this song had maybe wanted a baby, wanted a child, and
Yeah, but
wasn't.
you're spoiling it.
Well, no, but I think
You're
it's
jumping to the
important.
punchline.
No, but
That's the reveal at the end of the song. That's the
the song's
reveal.
about 40 years old, so I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know,
like,
but I'm saying, like, it starts off. It was a rainy night when he came into sight, standing by the road, no umbrella, no coat. So she saw this guy. He was like intoxicating, beautiful. They had
mhm.
sex. It was like this one night torrid love affair, and like they made love.
Love like strangers. That's one of the
Yeah,
lines, right? We
yeah,
made love like strangers, whatever
yeah.
that means.
And then I told him, "I am the flower, you are the seed."
We walked in the garden, we planted a tree.
And then
It's really like the lyrics are so whack.
you can then it happened one day. We came round the same way. You can imagine his surprise when he saw his own eyes, right? And then the big reveal at the end was, "You've got to understand, I'm in love with another man who couldn't. He was infertile. He couldn't make me pregnant."
So yeah.
That's not the
So
right word, is it? Infertile. If the
um
man wasn't able to contribute to pregnancy, is
I
that
don't
the
know. I
is
think
that the
so.
word?
I don't know.
And so she deliberately went out and had a one night stand so she could
To
get
get
pregnant.
pregnant. And she'd
But
kept that fact from her partner, and I think he thought the child was his child. And
it doesn't
so
say that in the song.
well, it's
It
implied, I
it
think.
doesn't
So
say that she kept it hidden. It could have been a plan that they had together because the guy would have
isn't there a
known he would have
line?
been
I'm sure there's a
infertile.
line about like it's a secret she doesn't want. to get at. Anyway, it's a whack song. Like it's
Yeah,
wild. It's a wild, wild narrative.
yeah.
Um, and I was texting Sean last week when I was at work, just being like, what the hell is this song about?" And you did a little bit of research, I think, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it
Uh,
was written by Robert John Lang, who is might be better known to people as Mutt Lang, who
mm,
was married to Shania Twain, and they had their relationship or their marriage ended very badly.
hmm
And she, I think, accused him of other forms of abuse or manipulation.
Like
And
coercive, yeah.
yeah, but Nancy and Ann Wilson said they hate this song so much. They were so embarrassed to sing it, but then it became their biggest song, right? I mean, I think it was their last hit as well, because they had
Yeah,
had hits in the 70s.
had they? Okay.
Yeah, they were quite a big rock band. And this was kind of like their resurgence coming back into the pop, and they had to go poppier. So
hmm
they're a bit more rock and roll before that. You know, songs like Barracuda, right?
Yeah.
Which interesting, like you can
That's like
look
it's
up and
almost
see.
like surfer rock, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, you can see there's a really nice video of Chapel Roan covering that recently.
mm. What
But
what's your favorite Heart song?
I really like Barracuda. I really like um
What About
Alone.
Love is my favorite. Oh,
What about
Alone. Well,
Alone?
Alone is the
Alone is
one
my
most
favorite.
people probably know now because Glee made it. You know, when
Well,
Glee did it, I think it
talk about
introduced a
echo
whole new
chambers.
generation.
Talk about echo chambers. I think there is a Glee cone of silence that people, you're either in it or you're out of it. I mean, if you talk to
Like,
most people about Glee now, they'd be saying, "What the hell are you talking about?"
do you think?
I was so obsessed with Glee when it first started. I can remember we lived in
In Brisbane.
that shack in Red Hill or where Highgate Hill. Do you remember
Right, yeah.
Monique and Drew lived in that opposite
Next
side?
door,
It was
yeah.
like an old house, an old Queenslander style house that had been divvied up
It
into
was a
like
it was
studios.
basically a DOS house. It was like bed
Yeah.
sits almost.
Like you could
Yeah,
hear people through the wall just
yeah.
talking, but like
One
my
day
snoring.
there was what was her name? Dawn.
Dawn.
Dawn, who lived like two back from us, and like one morning, like really early on a Saturday morning, the guy who I can't remember his name, the guy that lived kind of between me and Sean and Dawn at the back, he'd gone out and hadn't come home, but his alarm went off, and it was so. I mean, you could hear everything through the walls. The walls were like paper, and so
Hmm.
like I think Dawn like climbed climbed up the side of the house into his window to like switch his alarm clock off. I'll never forget that.
And
Like,
my snoring, obviously,
oh.
for the CPAP recappers who know, my snoring and sleep apnea has always been terrible. And in that place, my snoring was so bad. And the guy who lived in the apartment next to us, or not even an apartment, it was like a room,
Yeah.
he would have to bang on the wall to wake me up. And then I would wake up and I'd say, "Oh, sorry, sorry," and he would say, "Oh," like just even in a normal talking voice, I would
Yeah, you
say
didn't have to
sorry, and
shout. You'd be like,
he would answer me and say, "Oh, no worries, mate, no worries, go back to sleep."
but even
And
Dawn, like two apartments down, she could hear your snoring as well.
oh, so what a weird place to live. I
Why
mean,
were
it
we
was
talking
a
about
nice
that? Oh,
neighborhood,
because you were. That's when we were watching Glee.
yeah, and like that was
Right.
around the time that Glee. It was a pinnacle of pop culture. It was the Fame Monster with Gaga. So
Wicked.
like Bad Romance.
It was
Um,
everything. It was. It's a kind of a cursed show. Like, you know, that I don't know if we've got time to go into all the terrible things that have befallen the people that were in Glee, but or things that they've done. Um, but yeah, it was like a very, very cursed show. But anyway, back to Heart. I think What About Love is probably my favorite. Oh no, Will You Be There in the Morning? That's that to me. I don't know who wrote that though.
don't know, probably Diane Warren or someone.
Maybe.
Um, but they're still touring, right?
Yeah.
Oh, did you see also in Coachella the Go Go's played,
Oh really?
and Billy Joe went on stage and did a song with them.
Oh wow. I don't. When am I going to have time to? There are too many things to watch at the moment. There's also like a new season of The Last of Us coming out. There's a new season of Hacks. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to. I'm gonna have to schedule my viewing and all the Coachella performances as well.
Mutt Lang also wrote "Will You Be There in the
Will you be
Morning,"
there? Oh, really? Okay. I mean,
and
the lyrics in that are quite whack as well. Like,
yeah,
what's that lyric?
I can't remember them off the top of my head.
I'm lying beside you, just thinking about us. Too tired to go to sleep because I'm too much in love.
Oh my God, too
I
much.
mean, it's really cheesy, but it's also a great song.
He so he was married to Shania, and um, he he has worked with so many people. Like, I mean, the list would is phenomenal. Like, he's worked with AC/DC, Def Leppard, Boomtown Rats, Foreigner, Heart, The Cars, Bryan Adams, Huey Lewis, Billy Ocean, Lady Gaga. What did he do with Lady Gaga? Do you know what I bet it was? I don't know this, but just it just popped in my head. I bet it was You and I.
Oh, I was going to say, was it not that Top Gun Mavericks or whatever song she did?
Hold My Hand.
Hold My Hand, yeah.
Let me have a look.
Have a look. Tapper Tapper, live
Tap,
research.
tap. Live
Um,
reset.
what was I going to say though? Hang on, we were talking about Heart, Glee. Oh, I don't know. I've lost my train of thought.
I loved when Kristen Chenoweth sang Alone on
With
Glee.
Well, it was her and what's his name, the guy, the teacher, Mister.
Matthew, I can't remember his name. God, there were some
Yeah,
weird storylines in Glee, weren't there?
really weird, really odd.
Oh my! And
And
the fact that, like that, Kevin McHale, who
who
played
was that?
Artie, who was in the wheelchair,
Oh yeah,
like that they had an person who didn't need to use a wheelchair playing this
I know.
person.
It's
For
so
how many
wild.
years was he in that wheelchair?
I know.
It's so outrageous.
But
And
didn't am I misremembering? Didn't Adina Menzel play what's her name's mum? Rachel's mum,
yes, yeah,
right?
yeah, Idina Menzel. And then, there were
Ah,
so many guest stars in Glee. But yeah, all the tragedy that befell the cast.
and it continues to. I mean, it feels like it's like the
I
curse
mean,
of Tutankhamun.
it's very sad about what's her name? Who drowned?
Yeah, yeah. Just a couple of years ago, like very
What
recently.
is her name? I cannot remember.
Yeah, I forget. And
Naya Rivera.
yeah, and her daughter was with her, I
I think
think,
it was
when
the
it
son.
happened.
Was it her
Was it a
son?
son, maybe?
Well, her child was in a boat. They were on a boat together, and she
Yeah.
went in the water and hit her head or something. And yeah, it was he worked on You and I with Gaga.
Oh, it was you and I. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
And then the other guy who was dating Leah Michelle, Corey Monteith,
oh, yeah,
he died from a drug overdose
yeah.
while the show was still on air, and they wrote his death into the death of the character into the show, and all of those kids had to go and act about their
Really?
best friend and act like his character was also dead. It was
That's
so
twisted.
weird,
I'd
so
stopped
weird.
watching at that point. I kind
And
of,
then and then
yeah.
Mark, whatever his name was arrested for child pornography, and then he
He
died in
took his
prison.
own
I think
life, right?
maybe was he in prison when he died, or
No.
um, there's all sorts of
Didn't
things.
they
All
find his
sorts of.
body in a dumpster or something? I mean,
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. That's completely not true.
That's completely false.
That's don't
Scrap
even
that.
don't even put that. Do you know some sort of AI bot is going to pick up that snippet and then give that to someone in Chat GPT as a search result?
Uh huh.
Some people
Um,
believe that Mark, I don't know his last name, his body was found in a dumpster, while others believe that not to be true.
um, anyway, Glee as a whole, yeah, it was a very strange show. I mean, I think um, the standout performance was, God, I'm even though I've I've had a long day. I've been looking at a lot of PowerPoint slides today. What's her name? Jane.
I can't
What's her
remember her
name? You
last
know,
name.
like
Yeah, I know who she is. She played Sue Sylvester.
yeah, Sue Sylvester. Yeah, exactly. Jane. God, why am I blanking on her name? Anyway, I think
Well,
she was a
outside
stand-up.
of
But who
Glee,
else? Who else went on to do anything from Glee? Apart from obviously Kristen Chenoweth was already a big name before that. But like, what does Leah Michelle do these
Well,
days?
she's a
Or
huge Broadway star. I mean, she
is
went.
she?
You know, in the show, how she sang that song from the Barbara Streisand musical
Mm-hmm.
where she says, "I'm marching my band out." She
Yeah.
went on like a year or two ago. She was just on the Broadway revival of that show singing it. So it was like this full circle moment.
Oh
And
wow.
she got rave reviews. Like a lot of people don't like her and thought she was not a very nice person. And a lot
Mm.
of the cast went on to say that she was horrible to them. She had said racist things or had been bullying people.
Oh
And
yeah.
so she sort of was on the in the wilderness for a long time. But I think the opinion is from a lot of music fans or TV fans that she redeemed herself. Like she got rave reviews for this performance.
I just remembered. I completely forgot, but I just remembered. Then I went and saw in London years ago, like pre-COVID, like maybe around 2017, I would guess. I went. Our friend Lynn came to London, and we went to see Dreamgirls, and Amber Riley was
Yeah.
in that. From Glee, and there was some controversy around Amber Riley as well. I think there was maybe some sort of turfy. Uh,
Was she
maybe no, it was
turfy?
maybe it wasn't turfy. Maybe it was just like anti-queer stuff.
Maybe
And
you
it's
need to
like,
stop saying, "Oh, this body was in a dumpster. She was a turf." Like based on nothing. What is this based on?
well, let's just preface everything I say is questionable in terms of its actual closeness to the truth. But there was definitely I think it no I think it was around maybe the marriage equality movement and Amber Riley's sort of because she'd come from such a queer or queer baiting show, you might say, as Glee, she came out with some quite sort of anti-queer um, ideas. Anyway,
Right.
I'll leave it there before I
I think she
disseminate
was
any more
I think she was
potentially.
on I think she was on like the Masked Singer or something. You know that show where celebrities wear
Hmm.
wasn't Latoya on one of those as well?
Everyone's been on it. Who else was on it? Wasn't Denise from Five Star? Wasn't she on The Masked Singer?
No,
Um,
I don't know about
I mean,
that.
I know she was also
I don't think
she was on The Voice, but I thought she was maybe on The Masked Singer as well.
yeah, no.
Um,
I really don't think there was anything. I can't see anything about Amber Riley being anti-queer. So maybe we need to very clearly.
maybe she's had it scrapped from her digital
I mean, she did
fingerprint. What do you
say
say? Digital footprint or digital fingerprint? Footprint.
footprint,
Right.
footprint. Um, but yeah, apart from Amber Riley, Chris, what's his name?
Colfer.
Chris Colfer.
Yeah.
He had no one went on to be mega famous from that show. Like they didn't go on to a level of fame where they're like considered A-lister celebrity or selling lots of records, but they all still work. Chris Colfer has some quite successful young adult novels that he's written now.
Okay.
I think, and maybe they're getting turned into TV shows or something. So I think he's making like a name for himself that way. But yeah, it was when
Who?
it had a hot minute, didn't it? Like it was a
It did.
very brief. Glee was this brief, sort of exciting, very popular
It was very
thing.
of its time, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Who was the actor who played sort of the lead, like the teacher, the guy whose
Matthew
name
something.
yeah, we can't remember his partner or wife. I don't know. She had red. I don't know if she was a natural redhead, but she had red hair in the show, and she was like a real wasn't she a real germaphobe or whatever in the show? Like, am I
Yeah, but she.
remembering that? What was her?
What
What was her? What was the actor's name?
I don't know, but Matthew Morrison was the actor,
Right. Yeah.
and I can't remember her name. But what else was she in? Was she was in
Trying to think what I've seen her in recently. Like, I can't think of anything.
wasn't she in Ugly Betty?
Can't you do some? She was in Ugly Betty. You're right, but that was before Glee, wasn't it? Oh, I don't know.
Maybe
She
it was
was. Who
around the
was she
same
in Ugly
time.
Betty? She was uh
She was
the guy that
dating Henry.
when he moved to Arizona or something. Or
Yeah.
yeah. Um yeah.
I can't remember her name, but they're the only two things I know her
Can't you
from.
do a little live research?
Well, I'm trying to, but I can't even remember
Well, I
her
mean, I
name.
suppose it doesn't really matter. Speaking of old TV shows and like characters or not characters, actors from old TV shows, I'm watching the new season of Yellow Jackets,
Yeah,
and hang on, I've forgotten her name now. Claire from 6 Feet Under. What's her name? No, not Amber. No, Lauren Ambrose. Lauren Ambrose.
oh yeah,
She's in the new season. It's so nice to see her on screen again. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
she's great.
I know she's playing a totally different character, but I will always just think of her as Claire from
Okay,
6 Feet Under.
I have to just say these names now because there were people watching this screaming at us that we couldn't remember their names.
Oh yeah,
Matthew Morrison, we got that. Jane Lynch,
Jane Lynch. Yes, of
we couldn't
course.
remember that. But also talking about who went on to have the most success, it was probably Diana Argon. Like she played. What was her name in the show? Um,
Let me Google her. The name doesn't. Just nothing.
and
Nothing.
and
Let me look at her.
yeah, Quinn. She played Quinn. She was dating Finn. Like, oh my god, I can't even remember these people's names.
Uh,
Diana Argon, and
yeah. I mean, I'm
she
looking at
was,
pictures of her, and it's like I'm barely remembering her.
and
Um.
she
Oh
was,
yeah, I just saw a picture of her
yeah,
from Glee. Yes.
like her
Okay.
character arc involved. She became pregnant to
Okay.
Mark Salling's character, and she had a baby.
Mm.
And like in the show, she sang "Papa Don't Preach."
It was so. Yeah, it was camp, but it was a little too contrived to be truly camp.
Too
You know.
contrived. It was beyond contrived. It was the most
And
ridiculous
Rachel had
thing.
two gay dads, didn't she, in the show?
Did she? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Do you
sure.
remember when they did the Gaga episode of Glee?
Yeah,
Um, um,
it was a stupid show.
such a terrible show, really, wasn't it?
It
I
was
mean,
bad.
I was into it at the time. Um, but I'm just trying to think. But she's been in big movies. Do you know what I mean? Like, since then she's been in other like things, like like sort of A-list movies. But remember, she was also in that music video by Brandon Flowers. Like she was in a
Who are we talking about now? Diana
Diana
Argon.
Argon. Still, she was in a music video by Brandon Flowers from his solo album.
No, I don't know
So
if
you
I've
have
seen
to
it.
search that. I think it was called Just Another Girl, but have a look at that. But
Going back to that Heart song, "All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You." Am
yes,
I? It's such a strange concept for a song, right? Like, but when Mark Owen split from Take That. Well, I
hmm
don't know if he split. He started his solo career, and he had a song called "Babe." Was that not the same premise that he? I'm just gonna have a look for the lyrics.
my God, this is so
Um,
ridiculous, babe. Take that. What a
Babe
terrible song that was as well.
lyrics, because wasn't that a similar thing, but from like the man's perspective about? Um,
Yeah.
hang on.
Well, he went to see her. He tried to
Yeah,
find her, and then when he found her, you were there
he's
with a baby.
or like
Um,
yeah, someone with his eyes, and he was like, "Oh my god, I've got a
yeah,
child that I never knew
yeah,
about." I don't know. Is that right? I'm trying to look
yeah.
for the
He
lyrics.
in the bridge. He says, "As you looked away, I saw a face behind you. A little boy stood at your door, and when I looked again, I saw his face was shining. He had my eyes. He had my smile." But
Right.
that wasn't about tricking somebody into babies. That was just like.
That was like
And then in the
one.
video, he kind of cosplayed being a soldier who'd come home from war or something. Oh, what a
Okay.
terrible song, and he is such a lousy singer.
I
Oh,
know.
honestly,
I know.
such
It was
bad
weak.
vocalist.
It was weak, y'all.
So weak. Oh,
Yeah.
it actually is cringe when I think about that. That I used to go to Take That concerts. Like, how horrifying.
Well, I mean, I used to think Mark was the cutest one in Take That, and now I'm just like, what was going on? What was I
Oh,
thinking?
Night Hag,
Uh,
Sea Hag.
Let's not be too vile.
I'll never forget
It's a bit too late for that.
that Michelle had that book of mythical creatures, and one of the creatures in it was night hag slash sea hag.
Well, did it depend on time of day and location, or what? That was just like,
Yeah, if it was on the shore in the daytime, it was, or in the water at night time. I don't know, but I think it was just like there were variations of hags that were popular in folklore.
well, anyway, not to be like disparaging about anyone's appearance or anything, Sue.
No, I'm just saying night hag, sea hag because it's a
Right.
fun thing to say.
Okay.
I will be disparaging about his talent though.
Okay, fine. Um, well, where would you put him on the bill with Charlie XCX? I mean,
Oh yeah, he can feature. He can come out and they can sing like an EDM version of Babe together.
sounds fucking horrendous.
You
Um,
get Lord to play the tambourine.
we should wrap up. Oh, wait a minute. Just one more
What?
question about that
Yeah.
performance before we wrap up. Um, was Julia Fox part of Charlie XCX's performance?
I think so. I didn't watch the whole thing of
Okay.
her, but I did see photos of her sniffing around.
Okay.
Like, yeah, she was just probably on
And
stage.
do you think Julia Fox is like what we see is the real Julia Fox, or do you think it's all a fabricated kind of
What do we
persona?
see?
Well, like for those that haven't
Like, see a
seen her,
woman standing around in a pair of hot pants doing
no, but
nothing.
Julia Fox has like made a name for herself from being this like sort of I don't even know how to explain it. Maybe I haven't got time to explain it. Like just she has like this most severe vocal fry you've ever heard, and
Oh,
she talks about like such sort of throwaway things with such sincerity and such earnestness that you've got to think surely it's an act. Like
yeah, I think it's an
surely,
act, but everything is
yeah.
artifice, isn't it? I mean,
Well,
everyone has affectations, and I think,
yeah,
yeah, she is that to a heightened degree. But did you
but
know,
she's hilarious.
talking about Julia Fox, and then side note, do you know how Kanye West just married this other woman, um, Bianca? I don't know her name. Did you know that she's from Australia and she's an architect with her own architect firm?
I did not.
Like, what's going on in the world? Anyway, I think they're getting divorced now anyway because he is a certified Nazi.
Yeah,
So
it's wild. It's wild. All right.
if
So
only Glee was still around to do some
if only Sue, what was her name? Sue Sylvester. If only
Sue
Sue
Sylvester.
Sylvester was there to do some straight talking with Kanye.
Okay, so
Um,
what's your personal goals before we meet again for the podcast? What's going on in the next
well,
7 days?
I've just got to get through this sort of like induction thing at work, and I'm hoping. I think the PowerPoint presentations are over, so I don't think I've got any more PowerPoint presentations. So I've just got to get through that. But I'm also still doing some days at my old job. So anyway, basically, this is a roundabout way of me moaning that I've got no free time. I'm working like 12 days in the next 10 days. I'm doing 12 days
And
work or something
you've
like that.
also got to host the open mics that you're doing.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'm not complaining. My brother and my nieces are visiting from Philadelphia at the moment. It's lovely to see them, but it's just the same week I've started this new job, and anyway, it's just a lot going on. And I see, it could be another week before I get to watch these Coachella performances,
You got to
which
get on
is
it.
which is the biggest tragedy here, I
Yeah,
think.
you got to get on it. Well, I'm busy trying not to get scurvy so I can go and see Gaga in Australia. That's
Scurvy, rickets, yeah.
if I got scurvy, they probably wouldn't let me into Australia. You know how tight they are with their borders.
At least if you get to Australia, you won't have any vitamin D deficiency. That's for sure.
No, that's right.
All right. Anything else we need to say before we wrap up?
No, you can follow me at FatGayVegan on Instagram or go to fatgayvegan.com. And please do click on the link to sponsor our friend Nivi, who's running the Hackney Half Marathon to raise money for vegan food security charity made in Hackney. What about you?
Links in the bio. Yes, you can find me online, joshandthejumpstarts.com, or look for me on Instagram. I did post, did I? Maybe. I think I thought I was going to post a TikTok reel the other day, but then I'm not sure I actually did. So just look for me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. Or even better, actually, look for me on Spotify or Apple Music and listen to my music, which is also the theme song for this podcast. But all of the links for all of those things are in the bio.
In the description.
In the show notes, I believe is the technical term. In the
Just
show
below
notes.
the synopsis.
Yeah, above the hashtags. But yeah, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us on this whimsical, absurd conversation.
And thanks for helping us. What is it? Plant a tree, hide a seed. What is it?
Thanks for taking a walk in the garden with us and planting a tree.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Something about a seed, though. There was something
well,
about a seed
yeah.
in there.
I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah. I wish we could put snippets of songs into the podcast, but I don't think the copyright things allow that.
We're already struggling to get an audience. We don't want to get ourselves banned, shadow banned.
Do subscribe if you're listening to this for the first time, and we will be back in your feeds next Tuesday. Until then, take care.
Right.
And take your supplements if you think they work.
Yeah. Bye.